I think we could start. We're at the stroke of the hour.
Okay, please, a minute. Good morning, everyone. I can see we're about 9 in the chat. Good morning. Please, you can unmute your mic and respond. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, PM Jago.
Good morning. We're about to have an amazing time, and if you can't feel it, I'm very, very excited because the Tall Tales contest, particularly, is one that comes up every 2 years, and it's always an exciting and interesting time. I mean, we get to hear wild stories. But before we move into the rest of the meeting, would like to start our meeting like we start every Toastmasters meeting with the Toastmasters promise. So I will be displaying my screen and you can say the promise alongside myself. Can you see my screen?
Yes, you can. Yes, I can from here.
Yes, I
Okay,
can.
thank you very much. So I will lead the Toastmasters promise. So when I say one sentence, you will say the next sentence. Is that fine?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
This is fine.
As a member of Toastmasters International and my club, I promise to attend club meetings regularly,
To prepare all of my projects to the
Project to
best
the
of my
best of my
ability,
ability, basing
basing
them
them
on
on
the
the Toastmasters
Toastmasters
Education
Education
Program.
Program.
to prepare for and fulfill meeting assignments,
To provide fellow
And fellow
members with
members
helpful
with helpful
constructive evaluation.
Constructive
evaluation.
evaluations.
to help the club maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for all members to learn and grow,
To
To
serve
serve my
The
club
club
as
as an
officer
officer
uh,
called
when
when
called on
called
on
upon
to
to
do so.
do so.
to treat my fellow club members and our guests with respect and courtesy,
To bring
To
guests
bring guests to
so
club meetings
they can
so they
see
can
the
see the benefits
Toastmasters
Toastmasters membership offers.
offers.
to adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmasters education and recognition programs, and together to act
within
within Toastmasters
Toastmasters core
core
values
values
of
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 integrity,
integrity, respect,
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 service,
service,
service, and
and
excellence
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 during the
during the
conduct
conduct
of
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 all
all
Toastmasters
Toastmasters
activities.
activities.
Good morning once again, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I hear a lot of sleepy voices. Good morning. Are we awake?
Good morning.
Yes,
Good
good
morning.
morning.
We are with you.
Let me start by welcoming you to this very special training session. Like I said earlier, Tall Tales is something that gets me really excited. I mean, once in 2 years, it's like that August event that doesn't happen every August. So I'd like to welcome you all to the first edition of Surulere Toastmasters Club training sessions, the first of our training sessions for the 2024-2025 Toastmasters year. And you might be thinking, we're having a training on Tall Tales and evaluation, and why is that important? In the next few months, the first contest cycle of the Toastmasters year is going to begin. And the contests in question will be the Tall Tales and the evaluation contests. Why are contests important? Everyone that I have seen participate in contests, there are certain things that change in those individuals. They become more confident. They become better at doing what they do. And this pushes them to become better and well-rounded speakers. I mean, the reason many of us come to Toastmasters is to gain confidence, to build confidence in our public speaking skills. And how best to do that than by competing against others in a friendly environment. So for today's meeting, our training is going to be focusing on two contest categories, the Tall Tales contest and the evaluation contest. And I would like us to know that this training is not only going to be relevant if we are contesting, it's going to be relevant to build our speaking and communication skills as well. In everyday life, evaluation is something we do. We evaluate those we come into contact with, we evaluate our colleagues, we evaluate our friends. And it is very important to deliver feedback in a manner that makes those we are evaluating be receptive to the feedback. And a very great way we are going to be teaching us to do that today is a training session. So to understand the Toastmasters contest cycle, how many of us can you raise your hands if you know the Toastmasters structure, how the club gets to the international level? If you have any information on that, can you raise your hands? It seems many of us don't have that knowledge. So the way Toastmasters work, at the top of the Toastmasters hierarchy, some might say the base, but I believe it's the top of the Toastmasters hierarchy, is the club. 3 to 4 clubs come together to form an area. 3 to 4 areas come together to form a division. And a lot of divisions come together to form a district. A couple of districts come together to form a region, and regions come together to form the Toastmasters international body. And that is exactly how our contests go. We're going to have contests at the club level, and the winners in this contest, our club champions, are going to compete in the area. The area champions will compete in the division, and the division champions will compete at the district. And that is how our contests go till we get to Toastmasters International. And the intent of this training is to prepare us for this contest cycle well in advance of time, so that we can start preparing our speeches. We can write those speeches, we can rehearse them, we can get feedback from our mentors, from our friends, before the contest starts in September. And at this point, I would like to introduce our timer, who is going to explain the timing rules for today's contest. Please, I'm trying to pull up the timer's profile. Our timer for this auspicious early morning meeting is Toastmaster Kudus Adebayo. Toastmaster Kudus is a health underwriter and an actuarial analyst with a strong passion for analyzing and interpreting health data to inform decisions and mitigate risks. With expertise in assessing and managing risk for insurance purposes, he stays up to date with the latest advancements in data analytics, data science, and actuarial science to enhance his analytical skills and contribute to accurate pricing and risk assessment in the field. He is the Toastmasters Triple Crown Award winner. Please join me with a resounding round of applause as we invite to our virtual lectern, Toastmaster Kudus Adebayo, to explain the timing rules for today's meeting.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. I wanted to show you the card as you were talking, but you were speaking about me, and I didn't want to stop you there. Thank you very much. As we know, time is very important, and just to hold on to our core values, we always want to keep to time. This meeting has done well already because we started on time, and we don't want to end way ahead way outside the time range that we have set for ourselves. We are speaking about tortoise, and the moderator may just get carried away, just giving us those hints. So definitely we are going to be guided by time rules. For everybody that will be speaking today, they are going to be timed. Everyone has the time they are supposed to speak for. The moderators are supposed to speak for 30 minutes. Because of that, once it's 20 minutes, I am going to show the green card as my background. Once it is 25 minutes, I'm going to show the yellow card. So I guess at that point, the moderator knows that it should start concluding. Then once it is 30 minutes, I'm going to show the red card, which we expect the moderator to conclude at that point and leave the podium for the next person to speak. Also, that will be for both for both moderators for tortoise training and the evaluation training. Also, the test speech is supposed to be for 5 to 7 minutes. So I'm going to show the green card at 5, yellow card at 6, and the red card at 7 minutes, which the speaker has 30 minutes to conclude our speech. Thank you very much. And for everyone that will be speaking, once your time is up, I'm going to show the red card. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Kudus, for that apt and concise explanation of the timing rules for this meeting. Your role is very critical to the success of this meeting because part of the success of this meeting is that we finish on time, and we'll be looking out for your time signals, your timing cards. Thank you, Toastmaster Kudus. And at this point, it is time to get into the meat of why we're here. Who is excited?
I'm very much excited.
Are you sure? I can't feel the energy. The excitement is not showing.
You can see any energy on my face here. I have the energy there.
Thank you, everyone. And now it is time to introduce our trainer. Our trainer is a Toastmaster that I personally admire. And he is a sales and a marketing professional. He is also a sports and fitness enthusiast who believes in fitness as a powerful personal development process. He loves to read, spend quiet time in nature, and in his leisure time, he enjoys playing chess. I will have you know that our trainer is an experienced Telltale speaker who in the last Telltale contest dazzled the area and the division. Please join me with a resounding round of applause as we welcome Toastmaster Ugonna Anyanwu. Toastmaster Ugonna, are you?
Yes, good morning, Toastmasters and guests.
Good morning.
So I will be holding my phone with my hand, so forgive me for that. We will not have much body language and hand gestures, just because of the location where I am. It's good to be here and to facilitate this. Honestly, I am honored. When the VPE, Toastmaster Ruben, contacted me and he wanted me to do this training on tall tales. And the reason was, well, because I am the defending champion for the division. And I felt like, well, it's a good idea and it wasn't difficult for me to say yes. But I wanted to make it very spectacular and creative so that it looks so good when I am giving this presentation. So here's what I did. I thought about something interesting and I felt, well, it would be cool and nice to fall a day or two before the event.
Toastmaster Ugona, your audio is no longer clear.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, it's fine now. Thank you.
Oh, okay. It's beautiful. So, like I was saying, when the Vice President Education contacted me to do this training, I understood why, and I felt it was a good idea. Like he said, because I am the defending champion, and it's something that would be nice for me to anchor. And it was easy for me to say yes. So I thought about a creative way of doing it to make it look very, very real, like this is tall tale. And I thought about it and I said, well, how about if I fall sick a day or two before the training, get admitted in the hospital and do the training from the hospital? It's going to look very, very, very smooth and perfect. So when I thought about it, it was a good idea. So what I did was I went out to the streets and I captured about 256 mosquitoes, kept them in my room and gave them instructions to bite me one after the other for 3 days straight. After that, I realized I wasn't sick. So I went on Google and searched and I saw that there were some very potent mosquitoes in Cuba. And I say, well, it's a good idea. I contacted the company and they decided to ship down 350 million mosquitoes for me. And they charged me about $5,000 for it. And I say, well, very cheap to execute my plan. So they got in the mosquitoes and shipped it in. And it arrived in Apapa in Lagos. I think I cleared it about a week ago. But because I don't like being cheated for my $5,000, it was something I didn't want to do. So I took out my time to count every mosquito in that container to be sure they are potent enough. But when I did, I found out that nearly all of them were males, and it's the female ones that give malaria. So I say no. I asked for another shipment from China. China does better ones, and it came in 3 days ago. And luckily for me, it worked. So I am in the hospital now giving this presentation. Good morning once again, Toastmasters and guests. For me, that's what Tall Tales is about, just telling an incredible story, one that is hard to believe, like the one I have just told you now. I remember in 2022 when my Vice President Education, the person of Toastmaster Ibrahim Ajani, contacted me and said he would love for me to join the contest. I thought about it in just a few seconds and I told him yes. And the reason I said yes to the contest, it was my first. I was relatively new to Toastmasters and I saw it as a challenge to grow creativity, to bring up something that does not exist and make it real and give a speech in a way that it looks very realistic. And I thought that was a good challenge because while I was a child, I loved playing, doing stuff, and somehow adulthood has made me forgotten all those things that makes us human. As a kid, on Saturday evenings, there's only one place you'll find me in front of the television watching Tales by Moonlight. I don't know how many of you know that show. It was one of the best shows of my childhood, Tales by Moonlight. So I have lost that touch of playing and trying to be creative. And I said, well, these Toastmasters people, I think they are really, really smart, because each time we give speeches, we tell personal stories, we tell emotional stories. I think we're too serious. And having a tall tale speech, it's something that I didn't know where it came from, but I thought it was a very smart move from Toastmasters. So I opted in. At the club level, I gave a speech that resonated with me, even though it's something that was a bit real and the exaggerations were not that high. First, what's a tall tale speech? A tall tale speech, it's a speech like every other. For the contest, it's going to be for 3 to 5 minutes, even though in Toastmasters, our speeches are usually for 5 to 7 minutes. And the icebreakers are for 4 to 6 minutes. But the tall tale is for 3 to 6 minutes. So we have a very short frame of time to give the impression enough for us to try and win the contest. And a tall tale, like a speech, is just giving a normal speech that is unbelievable and unrealistic. And you give the speech in a way that you, the speaker, you are convinced that it is true and what happened actually happened. The audience might not believe you, or they might enjoy the joke or whatever it is, but that's fine. But you give the speech like it is a real speech, like you are giving an international tall tales speech contest. So it means the speech will have every aspect of a speech. You tell stories, you have your introduction, you have the body, you have conclusions, you give quotes. If where you just the way you normally give your speech, it has to be a properly structured speech. So when people hear of tall tales, they feel like, well, it's a speech, it's something they cannot do because they are not used to giving tall tales. And I thought about it and said, no, it's a normal speech that we do, just that in the speech, we have to tell stories that are well exaggerated. So while in our normal speeches, we tell stories that are true, that people can relate to, but in a tall tale speech, we tell stories that are exaggerated and humorous and make people laugh and capture people's imaginations. So it's about imaginations. And how did I look at it? I pictured it this way. Imagine that the Walt Disney Corporation employs you to do a Disney movie that's going to blow people off. And it's an animation movie. And you know the things with animation movies is that everything is possible. So you can see one, whatever, go to the other planets and come back in 2 days and 3 days. So in animation movies, everything is possible. So you, the writer, you are the tall tale writer. So you have to go into the depths of your imagination to picture out things that you just wish could happen. But in real life, definitely it won't happen. But of course, when the movie is being played, the people who are watching it they are captured in the euphoria that such a thing is actually possible and such things actually happen. So just imagine yourself as a movie writer for Disney. What are you going to come up with? So those were my thought processes during the phase of the contest. So I took up the challenge. When I gave that first speech at the club, I did not win. I came second. And luckily for me, the top 2 at the club were eligible to go to the area. So I had a lifeline. Then I asked feedback from the chief judge of that day. The chief judge, for note, it's not part of the voting judges. So her her view, I felt, will be a bit neutral. So when I asked for her feedback, and luckily she was actually the defending champion of the tall tale speech at the division level for Division F, as it were then. Now we have Division D. And she told me that it was a beautiful speech. In her view, she thought if she were voting that I should have won, but she understood why I did not win. And here's her feedback. She said, why the story was good, it was engaging, and it captured the audience. Nearly everything in the story were things that they look a bit possible. So I was thinking it was something crazy, but she said, no, it's possible. So if I'm to give a tall tale speech, I have to, the way she said it is, you have to go big or go home. So if you are saying that you killed a rat, it doesn't make sense. You could have said you killed a dinosaur. So you killed something, but the story says you killed something. But what makes it tall tale is, in this instance, this person killed a rat. In the other instance, the other person claimed to kill a dinosaur. So it's the same storyline, but you see where someone had to make it a tall tale. So that was the whole concept. She said, if I try to make it look like it's something that is a bit realistic, I'm already losing the whole essence of why the speech is there. So I just have to make it as exaggerated as possible. You either go big or you go home. So I took that lesson. While preparing for the area contest, I thought about enhancing that speech because the feedback I got was, it was a good speech. I just had to make it better. Then something came to my mind and I thought about it, and it said that, remember, the reason why you joined this contest was not just to win. You wanted to push your creative limits to see how you could come up with things that did not exist and make it real. So why not, you've developed that one, it was good. Why not develop another? And I say, well, nice challenge. So I am going to think of another speech totally different from the one I did at the club and give an entirely new speech at the area. So it's no longer about developing the club speech, but this is about giving a new speech. So I went into my quiet time, thought about it, ideas came. Usually how you develop the speech is you try to find a normal speech. Ideally, if it's a personal experience, whatever speech you know can be relatable. At the initial stage, you don't have to worry whether it's a tall tale or not. So the first goal is get a speech. When you get the speech, the second goal is to find areas in the speech where you could be a bit humorous, because of what use is tall tales when people cannot laugh over certain things. So you find areas in the speech where you could become a bit humorous. Then the final stage, which I think is the easiest part of the speech development, is to make it a tall tale speech. Because making a tall tale speech is easy. You could say, well, I went to America last week. Tall tale can say, well, I trekked to America last week. So you could say, I visited a museum 2 weeks ago during my holiday. Tall tale can mean I visited a different planet during my holiday to see how they live there. So making a speech a tall tale speech isn't the difficult part. It's getting the speech and making it a bit humorous. That was where the challenges were for me. And when I could get that, it was easy to develop the speech for the area level. So I did all I could and I developed that speech and gave it at the area. The same thing happened. I came second again, and within me, I felt like this second speech was actually much better than the first one. Then I said, okay, it has gotten more interesting. It means that it's actually a good challenge. At that point, I was actually happy that I was in this contest, because initially I was dragging my feet a little, but when challenges like this come up, it's exciting. It gives you the time to push your creative limits further. So I got the I got the feedback. I went back to the same person who gave me the initial feedback, because she was someone I respected a lot, and I can always guarantee that whatever feedback she gives to me, it's going to be spot on. And that's the beauty of Toastmasters, is that at every stage of the journey, you are really not alone. There are mentors everywhere from different clubs, people who are willing to help. So I went back and said, it is looking crazy to me. Like, I gave everything. How did I get here? Second, and she told me again that she agreed with me completely, that it was a very, very wonderful tall tale speech. Again, she thought if she had voted, I should have won. I said, no, all these ones is just trying to make me feel good. Give me the real deal. Give me your feedback. And she said, no, that's an honest feedback. That in fact, she thought it was a very good speech. I just need to work on it a little bit, and it's going to be fine for the division, because the top two again from the area were eligible to go on to the division. But one thing she told me in that speech was, it was a good tall tale speech. I was making it very, very highly exaggerated. Then I got to a point towards the end, and I added something there where I said, well, then I woke up and realized that it was a dream. And she said, no, that line for her was just an off. If I am bold enough to say these things happen, I have to stand on it to be bold that it actually happened. So I shouldn't have a point where I kill it down to bring people down to reality. No, that's not the essence of the speech. Again, she gave me the same advice she gave at the first instance, that it's a tall tale. I either go big or I go home. And I took in that advice. The thought again came that I should go creative and find another speech for the division. This time I said, no, it's better to improve on something that I thought was good and see how it goes. So I improved on it. I contacted a few people, gave the speech on Zoom calls, got feedbacks before the division day. And there were elements of the speech. It was so beautiful that there were elements of the speech that I thought was good. And when someone listened to the speech while I was presenting it before the contest, they were like, no, that part can be removed. Because one thing I was struggling with during the contest was time, 3 to 5 minutes. So I tend to then rush through my story. And she was like, no, you could remove this part, you could remove that part, you could add this, you could add this. So the speech development was going good. At that point, I felt grateful for the gift of Toastmasters mentorship. Then I worked on it the night to the contest, and I felt I was ready. So I went to the division. This time, we either go big or we go home. And when I went to the division contest, I felt very confident, because for me, it's not always about winning. Look at me, I am at the division, and I was already excited. Whether I win or not, that wasn't why I joined the contest in the first place. One, and while going through the process, I have developed something I thought I never had, or I had lost many years ago. So it gave me that courage to stay there feeling confident, not feeling intimidated, seeing experienced Toastmasters there, I felt happy within me, like I am here, and that's a win already. So when the time came, I gave my speech, I could see the energy in the room. And when I went to sit down, I thought in my mind like I had won. The results were not out, but regardless of what the results said, I had won. That was what I told myself. And eventually, when the results came out, I won. And trust me, it was a beautiful experience. And each time I remember the first time when my VPE contacted me and encouraged me to join the contest, I was grateful that I said yes to that request. So coming through the whole speech contest to all the level and winning at the division was one of the most beautiful experiences of my Toastmasters journey so far. So I enjoyed it, got numerous awards for it at the Toastmaster Nigeria conference. I got an award and all that. It was beautiful. So just to summarize and to wrap up the essence of why this training is here today, it's to encourage someone who might be having doubts about joining this contest. Because my goal is, Surulere Toastmasters Club is one that is very dear to me. I attend their meetings when I am able to, and it's a club that I love. And I hope that the next champion, because I am here giving this training, the next champion should definitely come from here. And how will that happen? It's just for the club level. I would love to see where over 5, 6, 7 people contest at the club, because making it very competitive at the club means you can get very good hands to go on and win at the division level. So how is that done? It's just to tell someone listening to me today that you shouldn't just be afraid, because scientists have proven that our brains usually have two sides. There is the left side and the right side. The left side deals with logic and mathematics and all those things that make sense, while the right side deals with arts, creativity, and stuff like that. In a world where everything has become data-driven, everything has become scientific, everybody is talking about engineering, science, AI, so there is a need for us to not forget the right side of our brain. In developing ourselves, we take courses, we are learning data analytics, we are learning this, that. Even in giving speeches these days, there is a science to giving speeches. So science has taken everything away, but the arts, it's calling on all of us that at the end of the day, we are humans. And when you think through our lives, it is the stories that we tell, even while we are in school. What made school interesting for me, it wasn't even what the teachers had to say. Like, I didn't care about the subjects, the mathematics, and what made school interesting in boarding houses those days is when we come back from holidays like that, people start telling incredible stories that in our minds, those stories were captivating. But when you think about it, especially now as an adult, you'll be like, I was so stupid to have believed this guy. Well, the guys told the stories like at that time you were like, wow, his holidays he had the best holiday. Then you'll be thinking of your holiday while you were just washing plates at home. Your mama was telling you to sweep the house and all that, and you are like, this guy had fun during holiday. But sometimes you look at it and you find out that the guy probably had a much more boring holiday than you, but he learned how to tell beautiful stories when he came back to school. And these were the things that make life interesting. So whatever you are in your profession is part of the Toastmasters training to develop a side of you that makes life very beautiful to live in. Especially if you are someone who probably you're an engineer and all your life, you're always thinking about realistic things, numbers, and that. It's just a challenge. Again, it's the whole idea about the contest is not that you go there to win. So many people run away from contests because they think, because this person is contesting, I have no chance. I will not win anyway. I'm not that good, so I will not contest. No, you don't contest to win. The contest cycle is structured in such a way that you just challenge yourself to develop something in you that you had that you did not develop, or something you did not have. But everybody have the gift of creativity. Everybody have the gift of coming up with things that are interesting, coming up with things that can capture the audience. And that is what the Tall Tale contest series is all about. So it's a challenge to each and every one of us that by the time the contest comes out, you should not even be told to enroll. You should not be told to jump into this contest, because trust me, it's an exciting one. It is one that you are going to love, and it's one that you are going to cherish for the most part of your life. And one final thing before I go, it's in winning, because while you are in the contest, sometimes the excitement of winning is there. You want to win anyway. One thing you still have to look out for is, first, don't forget that, and this is a summary of the take-homes for this tall tale. First, don't forget that a tall tale is still a normal Toastmasters speech. It is a normal speech. You have to give a very normal speech. You give quotes. In fact, when I started the quotes, it was one beautiful quote I started with. It's the lecturer who told me, who gave those quotes in school, because those of us who were into student unionism and trying to cause trouble in school because we don't read our books, he gave this quote in class. He said, in some of us, we come to school and we try to fight the school authorities and that, but let's not forget that in times of war, it is only the cowards who survive to go home and tell the stories of how the heroes died. And that was a very beautiful quote for me, and it fits in perfectly with the speech I was about to give. So when I gave that quote at the beginning, it was beautiful. So because it's a tall tale speech, you have to look for crazy quotes too that could fit into whatever it is you want to say. You can even quote some crazy people, maybe Portable, or you just leave all those serious people. Instead of quoting serious people like Barack Obama, you just look for some clowns that you could give some very beautiful quotes. It looks clownish, but it has lessons to it. So it's a proper speech. You give it, and it has a good introduction, a nice body, and it concludes perfectly like a normal speech. That's one. The second point is, you have to try all you can to make it humorous, getting people to laugh, even if it's a normal speech. Let's even remove the fact that it's a tall tale. It's making a speech a bit humorous is also one powerful way to give a speech. Then the third one is, why it's an exaggerated speech. One way you could develop it is you develop the speech, and it's always help. It always helps if you are the protagonist in the speech, if you are the main character. The actor and boost syndrome. Movies have already given us a huge clue as to how we develop things like this. But it will be good if you are the main character in the speech and you tell it with all boldness and make it real, like it actually happened. So you develop it the way you develop a speech. So you tell it like it's a personal story, like you were there when it happened, like you were involved in it and all that. Then the final one is, try and go through the judges' voting criteria, the judges' ballot. you will see some of the things that have some good grades where you can score higher marks. And that's just generally for speech contest. It's always good to know what you will be judged on. So you don't just go giving a speech thinking you have done well, only to come back and find out that, oh, well, you really did not do as well as you thought, which was what affected me at the club and the area level. So you know some of the things that were required for this speech. So that wraps it up for me. Again, it's just a call to action. Whatever it is you are doing, wherever you are, when Toastmaster Ruben Uzo, the Vice President Education, opens up the channel for tall tales and evaluation speech contest. In fact, I don't care about evaluations. I'm sorry, but everybody has to compete in this year's tall tale speech event. Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure speaking to you this morning. And talking this way already has already aided my recovery. Somehow speeches are therapeutical. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, Surulere Toastmasters Club. I will just be here for a few questions. If there are any, then it's a wrap. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ugola. First thing I want to say is Surulere loves you too. We love you, or don't we? Surulere, we love Toastmaster Ugona, don't we?
Yes, Louis loves
Always.
him.
Yes.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ugona. Let me try to be a bit of a pretender and give you an evaluation. Your start was extraordinarily done. I mean, you showed us why you are the Tall Tales champion. You imported mosquitoes from China. Wow. Wow, what a story. I mean, I believed the story at some point because it was so engaging. I was holding on for life. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Ugona. So we'll be taking questions a bit later. Is that fine? Is that fine?
Perfect. Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you, Toastmaster Ugona. Now it is time to move into the evaluation training. I mean, feedback. We love to say this quote at Toastmasters. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. And today we are going to learn how to deliver this breakfast in bed, even if possible. And before we move into the evaluation training, we're going to have a test speaker who has prepared a speech to dazzle us and for our evaluation trainer to use as a guide in evaluating us. But before we move into that, I would like us to drop words of encouragement. Let's drop comments, remarks. Toastmaster Ugona has given us a very wonderful presentation. Please, let's give him our love in the chats. I'll be looking out for that later as I introduce our test speaker. Our test speaker for today is the founder of Grace Foundation, an initiative focused on empowering marginalized children through education. She is currently enrolled in the School of Politics, Policy, and Governance, where she actively engages in projects aimed at empowering community. As you can see, our test speaker for today is Toastmaster Chioma Ochulo, and our speech title is If I Know Better. If I know better, believe me, I will do better. If I know better, believe me, I will do better. Toastmaster Chioma, the lectern is yours.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Am I audible, please? I just want to confirm.
Yes, you're audible, loud and clear.
Thank you. If I knew better, believe me, I would do better. Today, I want to share a story of how seemingly little experiences has impacted my growing up and my quest to be a social innovator. Good day, Toastmasters and guests. My name is Choma Ochilo. I'm a social innovator, a polymath, and the founder of Grace Foundation. Growing up from parents from diverse cultures, my dad being a typical Igbo man, it's in the Igbo man's culture to first serve his master before venturing into his own business. And my mom, an Akwa Ibom woman who always emphasized the role of education in the life of I and my siblings. Although I came from this diverse culture, till date I don't know how to speak any local language. Well, that's a story for another day. Growing up at Ajegule was no easy task for me, or even training a child at Ajegule is no easy task. But my parents made it a priority that we see growing up at a rural community more of a driving force. Two outstanding examples that really stood out to me as little as I was one, when my mom gave money to pregnant women begging on the streets. And as at then, I'll be of the opinion, why are you giving money to them? Why would she even bring a child to this world to suffer? She would say something as subtle as, if she knew better, she would do better. Or even when she gives handouts to young boys on the streets who are able to fend for themselves, she would say the same thing. If he knew better, he would do better. Or she might even say words like, that boy is a step away from committing a crime if left unchecked. This always emphasized the role of education in communities for me. Speaking of education, I mean, I would say I went to good schools. I and my siblings went to good schools. But something was missing. We barely read, except it was during exam periods. But nonetheless, mom filled the house with books, hoping that one day we might actually pick up the books from the shelf to read. But that day came very soon. It was a day I would never forget. The day I made a bet with my friend to complete a book of my choice. So I asked him, any book? And he was like, yes, any book. So off I went to the shelf. I picked up a book, How I Retired at 26 by Asha Tyson. For someone who has never read prior to this, except it was during exam period, I completed this book cover to cover. And when I was done, my friend had even forgotten about the bet. When I was done, I was so intrigued with the new knowledge, with the emotions of the book. I wanted to know more, so I kept reading. But aside bets, as a young teenager, I was also easily influenced. I mean, I ventured into architecture because I and my friends felt it was a fancy course to study. And although my architectural desires fell flat because as a then in my school, Federal University of Technology, architecture wasn't accredited. So I had to go for the closest thing to architecture, quantity survey. And I wanted to make lemon out of lemonade, but I guess it didn't work out. I was literally winging my days as a QS, and that's not a good thing. So, but there's one thing that Federal University normally dishes out to their students free of charge. It's called strikes. Hopefully, during my strike period, I was able to learn the ropes of what architecture is all about, basically. So I worked for firms, but aside working at firms, I picked up habits like journaling. And mind you, while in school and during this strike period, I was constantly learning. But on graduating, my first role was to volunteer at a foundation called Gaba Care Foundation. This foundation was centered on child education. It really emphasized the role of education for a girl child to me. And so far, I've worked for three organizations centered on SDG awareness. I'm also currently enrolled in School of Politics, Policy and Governance. It's a school of community development. So even to the extent that even where I want to work, I look out for a company that has a CSR initiative. CSR is being corporate social responsibility. So to conclude, as someone who aligns myself with growth, and as someone who aligns myself with people that are growth-minded, my mentor, Mrs. Hope, as she noticed that I'm someone who is centered on growth, she introduced me to the Toastmasters, and she knew that this is a place that I would better refine my skills and better able to refine my message out to the world as a social innovator. But I want to leave us with a quote. Knowing how to read but not reading is no different from someone who doesn't know how to read. So I'm here to tell us we should constantly keep educating ourselves. There is a lot of gap to fill in society, so we have to fill that gap in society. Thank you very much.
Please, a round of applause for Toastmaster Chioma. Toastmaster Chioma, I believe this is your icebreaker, right? Please respond. You are muted.
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, this is my icebreaker speech.
Please, she deserves more. She deserves another round of applause. She deserves more. That was a beautiful speech, Toastmaster Chioma. I will not try to be a pretender and I will not be a pretender and try to evaluate you. I will leave that to our distinguished Toastmaster. But that was a wonderful speech. You gave us learnings. Keep educating yourself. Thank you for your speech. I look forward to hearing more speeches from you. And now it is time to introduce our second trainer. Our evaluation trainer holds a master's degree in commerce and runs her own business, specialized in custom designed cakes. She joined Toastmasters in 2017, and she has served in multiple leadership roles at the club level and served as area director in District 20 during the 2019-2020 year. She loves to compete in speech contests, and she is the division champion in numerous and international speech contests. This year, she was crowned the District 20 champion in the evaluation contests. Our trainer, as you can see, is Toastmaster Priscilla Diaz, DTM, and she will be giving us a training on evaluation, providing feedback to speakers. Toastmaster Priscilla, the lectern is yours. The virtual lectern is yours.
I didn't hear you.
Thank you so much. Very good morning to everyone present here. And thank you for the introduction. Well, I'm here invited by Toastmaster Tessie, and this is a beautiful evaluation training that I love to do because I have been grilled through this entire process so that I could win at the DTAC. So to begin with, I'm going to first evaluate the test speaker's speech so that we can understand how I will take you through the evaluation, through the training with the help of this evaluation. Okay, so I would like our timer to time my evaluation. Okay, if you're ready, can you just give me a thumbs up? Great. So if I know better, believe me, I could do better. Contest chair, fellow Toastmasters, guest, I'm going to base my evaluation of the speech on the 3 elements of the artistic proofs by the Greek philosopher Aristotle, and they are ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos meaning credibility. Our speaker spoke about herself. She had a personal story with numerous examples. And throughout her speech, she told us about herself. A little by little, she expressed about her personality, her trait for reading, for architecture, and how she would love to be a volunteer. These were all her stories. And she transitioned from her childhood to what she wants to be today. In her coming to pathos, the emotions that I was looking forward to seeing through her entire journey in life is what I would like to recommend to our speaker. You see, this term, if I know better, believe me, I would do better, is something that you wanted to emphasize on throughout your speech. And that could have really been brought out by emphasizing, if I know better, believe me, I would do better. There were instances where you spoke about how you were asked to read, and you could dramatize that. Not dramatize as such, but put in the vocal variety needed there. And that would enhance your speech. Pace was something that I was looking for. I found your speech quick and difficult to catch up with. So I was looking for pace. Coming to logos, the purpose of your speech to tell us the role of education, come what may, keep educating yourself, was in place. To summarize, our speaker, Toastmaster Chioma, did excellent at credibility, telling us her personal stories. She had a take-home message for us, drilled it into us that it is important to educate ourselves. What I would love to see is a lot of emotions, a lot of ups and downs in that speech to show us, to portray how important education is in order to make a beautiful life. Thank you. So that was the evaluation of our test speaker's speech. Now, if you want to know how I went about with coming up with this evaluation, I would like to share my screen. And do let me know if you can see.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Yes, you can see your screen.
Right. So let us go through how did I come about with this evaluation. So first of all, I use Aristotle's artistic proofs of effective evaluation, communication. And here, the first one being ethos. What was I looking for in the story? Credibility. And credibility comes with having to tell your own story. If I was to tell a story about somebody else, it would be not 100% true because I'm depending on a lot of other material to know about the person, or I'm predicting or I'm presuming about the other person. So that could be credible, but not count for 100% credibility. Here, the speaker builds credibility by telling us about themselves such that I can trust the speaker. And that comes through personal stories, her confidence in narrating that story, telling us those examples. When her mother came across the pregnant women who she supported, the child who she came across, who she supported. All these are personal stories which cannot be made up. And that is what captured me, and I could believe in those stories. There was clarity. There should have been clarity in the speech, and that's exactly where I mentioned about the pace. But here, clarity I meant by I understood her entire story, how it was going. And there was that smooth transition. Sorry. Now, coming to pathos, the emotions. This is what the audience should feel when the speaker is giving the speech. And that can be done by the speaker by voting. Like, I should be influenced by what the speaker is saying. These stories about her mother coming across the pregnant woman and the book she was asked to read, all these are flashing in front of my eyes. But to make it memorable, to make it for us to remember, then the emotions, the vocal variety plays a very important role. So how you express yourself, how you, in the form of words, in the form of your body language, asking a rhetorical question is something that will make your speech memorable. Coming to logos, the message. The message is what are you trying to tell me through your speech? What do you want me to do after you have finished delivering that speech? Is what I was looking for. And what our speaker told us today was to, come what may, educate yourselves. How important it is to educate oneself. And that should leave should influence me, that should motivate me, that should inspire me. So these are the three things that I looked for in her speech: credibility, emotions, and a message. Now, you put all of this together. If you want to take a screenshot, okay, sorry. So as to understand all the elements which go into the Aristotle's artistic proof. Okay. Now, this is basically for contest purpose. You need something really tangible when you're going into a contest. It should be unique, different from what other contestants are preparing themselves for. And I'll take you through the judges' ballot, where I'll show you how you can divide this Aristotle's artistic proof into this judges' ballot. So first point is your evaluation should be clear and focused. So when you come to a contest, how would you make your evaluation focused? You come prepared, or come prepared as to what you're going to look for in that speech. That speech should have a story, personal story, or the speech should transition. Whatever you are looking for in that speech, come prepared for it. So here my focus was that I would evaluate the speech based on these three things: credibility, emotions, and the message. So when I started, I made sure that I told the audience, which includes the judges, that I'm going to evaluate the speech based on these three things. Now, when I'm evaluating, since I have these three things in mind, I spoke only about those three things. There were a lot of other things that I could have spoken about from her speech, but I concentrated on just these three things. Now, because I've put it in the mind of the audience and the judges that I'm going to talk about these three things, it's all fixed in their heads as well. Now it's all about making it clear. The focus is there. Now you clear it up as to what you meant by that you were going to focus on just these three things. And when you focus, when you are focused, you will not talk about anything else. So that's why we have this analytical quality where you need to focus on pick out. Just pick out. It need not be Aristotle's three artistic proofs, but you can just pick out on, say, for example, you want to talk about the content, the delivery, and the message. It's the same. Content, the credibility, delivery, the emotions, and the message. But you use simple terms. I'm going to evaluate based on the content, the delivery, and the message. So you're already telling them that that's the three areas that you're going to evaluate on. Coming to recommendations, be specific. So when we mean specific, tell the speaker what exactly the speaker should have done. So when I explained, I mentioned how this one point that she wanted to drill in, the title of the speech, should have been expressed. So you cannot just say, oh, you should have said it this way or should have said it that way, but give an example of how the speaker should have said it. So be specific. And that would eventually help the speaker. Technique, whether you want to be sympathetic, sensitive, motivational, this is a technique that you can pick up on. You can be constructive. You could be critical. It doesn't have to be sympathetic, sensitive, motivational. You choose the technique you would like to use while evaluating the speech. Of course, if it's motivational, you are going to motivate the speaker to continue improving, to ensure that these recommendations that you have made are used in the future speeches. And of course, the most important thing is summation. While delivering your contest evaluation, summation is something that we run short of. We run out of time and we tend to forget to summarize our evaluation. So while practicing, remember to keep time for summation. And summation, it has to be really concise. Just repeat the 3 points or repeat the 2 points that you are come to evaluate. Like when you say that you're going to evaluate on this, this, and this, the 3 points, ensure that you repeat those 3 points in the summation. Now, you will wonder, what is it that everybody should use the Aristotle method of evaluation? No, you could use different methods of evaluation. But before that, let's see how you can enhance your evaluation. So first thing is, remember that your evaluation is a 3-minute speech. And to do that, like any other speech, there should be an opening. And that opening would be the gist of the speech, or pick on the quote in the speech, pick up what the storyline is. You can mention that. And then you're going to tell how you're going to evaluate the speech. Because you want to make sure that the judges know that you are focused on your evaluation. Second, the body. The body of your speech should comprise of what I heard, what I saw, how I felt. That is the content, the delivery, and the message. And then choose. You have 3 things you're going to talk about. Throughout the speech, you are not going to look at what you can commend on and what you can recommend. So you choose to comment on one thing and recommend 2, or you choose to comment on 2 and make one recommendation. That way, you are not short of time. You can fit in your evaluation perfectly. And then conclusion is, of course, to summarize. Mention the main points of commend and recommend. Also, during the evaluation, these are the words you would want to use, what you would love to see, what you would suggest, what you would believe. And to avoid using words like you did not, you should have. Divide the stage. One of the things that I've learned is if I divide the stage, the tendency is there that you have covered every point. So I divide the stage with the opening, the body, and the conclusion. That way I don't forget to conclude. I know that I have to go to that part of the stage in order to conclude. So to ensure that you will not forget summation, I mean, the opening and the body, or the comment, to commend and recommend is all part of evaluation. You will not forget. But there is a tendency to forget summarization. And for that reason, it's best to divide the stage. I will open, I will commend, recommend, and I will close at this point on the stage. And speak to the audience. So when you are evaluating, do not just, especially in a contest, it is best to consider that you are giving a speech, right? So you would not be giving a speech only to the test speaker. So address the entire audience saying, today, our test speaker, so-and-so, delivered a speech on this topic. Her take-home message was this. So in a way, you're telling the audience, which includes your judges, you're speaking to your judges and telling them how you are evaluating that speech. Now, coming to the other methods that you can use to evaluate a contest speeches, pick on things like the 3 C's. Clarity in your speech, was it concise, and was there consistency? This is just an example in order not to confuse, but just to let you know that you don't have to use Aristotle's proof only to evaluate at a contest. When I delivered a test speech and world champion of public speaking, Cyril, was present at that conference, I asked him to evaluate my speech, and this is what he came up with. Will I remember your speech? Were the 3 things that he evaluated my speech on. First, will I remember your speech? Did I enjoy your speech? And 3, how will I apply this in my life? All of this is credibility. Will I remember your speech? Did I enjoy your speech? Was there emotions? Was there something that will make me remember that speech? And how will I apply it? What is the take-home message? Distinguished Toastmaster Anil Lobo from District 20 uses the PI method. Did your speech persuade me? Was your content persuasive? Did you inspire me with your emotions? And did you entertain me? Was there humor in your speech? What was your take-home message? Why did you want to tell me this? Another way of looking at your evaluation. If there is a theme for your contest, try to use the theme into your evaluation. The last year, the evaluation, the DTAC theme was experience, enthusiasm, and excellence. And I use the words experience, enthusiasm, and excellence in my evaluation. Though I did use Aristotle's artistic proofs, where I spoke about credibility, I said the speaker shared with us his experiences from childhood to his present life. I used the word experience. The the speaker lacked enthusiasm, how he could have emoted certain parts of his speech. I displayed that. And excellence, how he could take his speech to excellence had he to leave us with a strong take-home message. So you can use the TTAC theme as your prop, you could say, in your evaluations. Well, I hope that helps. And if there are any questions, let's hear those.
Thank you, DT and Priscilla, for that wonderful presentation. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Loud and clear.
Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. I particularly enjoyed your approach to giving evaluations. The Aristotle's three approaches, the ethos, the pathos, and the logos. That was very insightful. And I also like the fact that you brought in other approaches which are basically related from other Toastmasters. Thank you very much. This has been an insightful experience personally for me.
Thank you.
So at this point, it is time for questions. So please, if you have questions for any of our trainers or for both of our trainers, you can unmute your mic and speak. Toastmaster Ruben, you look like you have a question or a few questions.
Good morning, everyone, once more. This was a breathtaking presentation, DTM. Thank you so much. I did partake in the evaluation contest last Toastmaster year, and I would say one of the things I battled with. So for me, if I see a speaker who has a lot of places I think are rooms for improvement, it's way easier for me to put together an evaluation speech and just keep drafting. Okay, vocal variety. Okay, you need to change your volume. But how do we battle the more experienced speaker? A speaker that comes and starts speaking, and okay, they're like, after a while, like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be writing stuff down. So how do we make sure we strike that balance between staying entertained and actually writing relevant feedback for the speaker? So not just the commendations, but also recommendations, especially for those who are really good at speaking. Thank you.
Okay, just Mr. Ruben, first of all, go focused, that you are going to talk. The speaker will be experienced and he or she will be able to display emotions and have the vocal variety. But if you go focused and you pick out on that unique thing about the speaker, when it comes to recommendation, pick on something really unique, which you think the other contestants would not have touched upon. So if you're talking about vocal variety that the speaker has been good at, then that is what you want to point out. If you're looking at, say, you want to make a recommendation on the body language, say there was a part in the speech where that could be enacted, or could be like where the speaker could come closer and show it in expression. Or like, for example, there are times when speakers do say, I was really devastated about it. Okay, so these are things that you can catch up on and highlight. That when you said devastated, you should have looked devastated, not I was devastated about it. So picking on that unique thing gets you the brownie points. And because our judges panel ballot clearly says clear and focused, so there would be a lot of things that you want to commend or recommend, but then choose that one unique thing that you would like to recommend, and then just focus on that. I mean, I'll give you an example with the DTM. Anil Lobo, very good at evaluations, has won many evaluations. And there was this evaluation where he came up and he said to the test speaker, you see, all the evaluators before me must have told you that you were good at this. And in a way, and he said, and I agree with them. He was not even present because he was the last speaker, last evaluator. But in a way, he covered all the things that he actually wanted to say himself. So that's the beauty of how you're going to, even if you want to focus and include everything, you either put it in any one of them. You either put it in the delivery or you put it in the content. So you choose. If his content had everything, you can say your content had personal stories, it had transition, it had a hook. So you are now covering one part, and then you focus on what you want to recommend. And in that recommendation, just focus on one, because recommending too many things will take you time and could lead to confusion. So just focus on one. Okay.
Oh, thank you so much. That was very insightful. And for the sake of okay, go on, Toastmaster Ruben.
Okay, please, DTM, sorry to interrupt again. How do you do your note taking, especially when the speaker is speaking? How do you do so in a way that's clear and helps you? I came on stage one day after evaluating a speech and in a contest, and I couldn't read my own handwriting. I was like, what is this? Like, it was terrible. I was lost in the evaluation. So do you have any recommendations for how to note take, especially while the speaker is speaking? Because there's a lot of information coming at you and you want to be focused and do all of that at once. Thank you, DTM.
Did you see that?
You can move it back a bit. It's blurry.
Okay, I don't think you can see that. But
I think you have
okay.
blurred background label.
Yes, that's why. Okay, let me explain. What I evaluated based on Aristotle's three artistic proofs. Okay, so there's ethos, pathos, and logos, and you've seen in the diagram. So when you go in for your evaluation, you draw that diagram, not necessarily the triangle. You, based on how you are going to evaluate. So you are focused that you're going to evaluate. For example, you're going to evaluate the speaker on how what I saw, what I heard, how I felt. So you make 3 columns. What did I hear? What did I see? How did I feel? Now, when the speaker is giving the speech, what did I hear? So what did you hear? You heard a confident speaker. You heard clarity in the speech. You heard personal stories. You heard humor. You heard quotes. You heard a hook. You heard a take-home message. What I heard. What did I see? The speaker, again, confidence, vocal variety, gestures, audience interaction. How did I feel? Motivated, inspired, whether the speech was informational. So now you have bracket. You have put it in those 3 brackets, okay? Then you decide on only 2 things that you want to speak about from that big long list of what I heard. Okay, so if what you heard was the personal stories were more important to you, speak about it and how that has influenced the entire speech, how that has taken that speech to that next level. If you want to talk about the emotions that the speakers put into, then that becomes again a plus. So you can put plus, and then you know that you're going to speak only on these 3 things. Okay, or circle that thing. So when you're at the evaluation contest, you're not looking at anything else but just those 3 things that you're going to speak on, whether it be or whether it's ethos, pathos, or logos, what are those three things that you're going to speak on? That way you don't have to look at anything else on that sheet. So when you are writing, write down as much as you can to when the speech is delivered. Then on the next sheet or on the reverse, or if they give you 2 sheets, on that second sheet, make sure that it has only those 3 points that you want to talk about. So that way you're focused and you will not look around in your own sheet, your own writing, that you cannot understand what is it that I have mentioned. So that's the whole idea of clear and focused.
Thank you so much, Litya. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Do we have any more questions? Before we move forward, I would like to note something. Toastmaster Ruben told us that he participated in the last evaluation contest. What he failed to mention is that he's the current division evaluation champion.
Congratulations.
Toastmaster Tessie, you seem like you have a question.
No, I'm just clapping.
Toastmaster Hafiz, I believe you have a question.
I'm getting something here, so I'm flowing as it's going. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Toastmaster Chika, you do have a question. I can tell. Toastmaster Chioma. Okay, our timer has a question.
All right, thank you very much. Actually, when I joined this training, I came with a question, but you answered it. I just want to mention it because anytime I want to evaluate, my problem is always once the speaker starts speaking, in the middle, maybe I'm just lost. I'm just lost in my own thought. I'm not even following any longer. But I think you answered that with when you mentioned focus. Once you already know the things you want to look at, then you can always follow up with that. So, thank you very much. It's a very good training.
Thank you, Toastmaster Kudos, our very competent timer, all the way from Seaside Toastmasters Club. Toastmaster Ioma, I believe you have a question. Oh, Toastmaster Chioma, please go ahead.
Hi, once again, and thank you, Miss Priscilla, for that evaluation. So my question isn't really centered on evaluation. It's just like a general question. So, what do you advise when giving a speech and the person loses their train of thoughts? How do you overcome that when you lose your train of thought giving a speech?
I didn't get you.
Did you get my question?
Can you repeat that?
I said, what do you advise while giving a speech and you lose your train of thoughts? Like, what would you advise someone? Yes. Thank you.
I'm surprised that is coming from you, because basically what I noticed in your speech was that you were speaking from your heart. So in order not to lose your trace, the best part is to talk about yourself. So when you're talking about yourself, you can say anything and we will not know. So when you think you're losing trace, go back to something exciting about yourself that you would love to share with us. Though we prepare the script and we write it down that this is what I want to discuss or this is what I want to speak, but there are times, you'll get frozen, like, oh, what was I going to say next? But it's your speech. If nobody will know that you have fumbled. So just switch on. Like, okay, let me give an example from your speech itself. Okay, you spoke about reading, okay, and you spoke about your mother reaching out to the two examples that you gave us, and then afterwards you went to reading a book. How would I know? Because there were two different things. Okay, what your mother taught you practically and what you have learned through the books, through reading. You could have fumbled over there. You could have just brought in that episode of the book out of the blue. Correct? But of course, it was in your script. But what I'm trying to say is that if you tend to forget what you're going to say, just go back to any incidents in your life and connect it with what you're saying.
Thank
Does
you.
that help? Because see, even for me, it happens when I'm giving a speech and I lose track of what I want to say. But if I'm fixated on that word itself, that I'm going to use just that sentence, then of course it's going to be difficult for me to continue with the speech. But nobody knows what's my next sentence. So you bring in your own sentence and then go back to where you left it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, DTM. Like I love to say, it's your speech. We don't know it. It's your speech. We don't know it. So if you forget something, just keep going. And there's also something I've always heard people say, especially in Toastmasters. There's a difference between the speech you write, the speech you practice, and the speech you deliver. So it's your speech. Keep going. We don't know. There's some. Okay, Toastmaster KQ. I believe she has a question.
Yes, good morning. Thank you very much, TM Priscilla, for the lesson on the evaluation. It was really insightful. So my question is, would you recommend taking notes to the lectern during a presentation when you have to evaluate a speech at, say, division level or district level?
Okay. See, if you have the notes with you, nothing like it. But if you can memorize, if you're focused that you're going to evaluate that speech only on these 3 points, then there's no need for you to take the notes with you. Because, for example, if like today, the 3 things that I spoke about was credibility, emotion, and the message. Okay, so this was my focus. Where did I see credibility in the speech? In her personal story. And she gave 2 examples. So I shared just that personal story and the examples. Where did I see emotions? Okay, emotions is what I want to recommend to the speaker. So I displayed those emotions through that sentence. 3, what was the message? The take-home message. There was a take-home message. I just reiterated the take-home message. So if you go focused that you're going to talk about just these 3 things, and see, even when I said, what did I see? I saw there was a story. Oh, sorry, what did I hear? I heard a story. I heard there was a hook. I heard the quote. So from that, I heard, say, 5 things, but I'm not going to talk about all 5 things in my evaluation. So what was most credible for me was her personal stories. So I spoke about that in the evaluation. Second, the emotions. What I did not see, I told her how she could display those emotions. And 3, the take-home message. So initially, if you feel overwhelmed that, okay, I need to have the notes in my hand, fine. But if you go really focused with just those 3 things, what you're going to speak, then there's no need for the notes. Also visualize the entire speech. Okay. So when you visualize the speech which has just been delivered, it's very easy for you to navigate through that speech and explain or put it in your evaluation.
Thank you, Toastmaster Priscilla DTM.
Thank you.
The timer has been flashing his red card and it's scaring me away. It's scaring me away from the lectern. So I think it is time to move on to the final item on our agenda. And the president of Surulere Toastmasters Club, Toastmaster Teresa Maduka, will be giving us some words of a closing remark. So Toastmaster Tessie, the virtual lectern is yours.
Thank you very much, our IPP, Toastmaster Mobala Wajago. Good morning, Toastmasters and guests.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's been such a wonderful training today. I mean, I got so much information. It's been so informative and inspiring. And I know that we're not going home the same way we came in here. Thank you so much for being here. I also want to thank the facilitators, DTM Priscilla and Toastmaster Ugonna. Thank you so much for always gracing our lectern whenever we call you to come. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for impacting us with the knowledge that you have impacted us with today. We are so grateful. I also want to thank the planners, the VPE and the team for putting this together, for making us better Toastmasters, and of course, in full, becoming better versions of ourselves. I also want to thank, I can see a lot of guests. I can see DTM Kajetan. And in case you don't know, that is DTM Priscilla's husband. I mean, the support system is palpable. I can also see Toastmaster Dinesh. They're all from Kuwait Toastmasters Club in Kuwait. I also saw the TM Nameti. I don't know if he's still here. He was the IPP of Kuwait Toastmasters Club. And they all came, I'm sure, to support DTM Priscilla and to be here with us. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for making this meeting really colorful. It was such a pleasure. I think I saw a Kiran. Oh, has it gone? Kiran has gone. Kiran Kapoor or something like that. I don't know if it was a Toastmaster or guest. It was such a pleasure to have all of us here. And for our guests and for other club members from other clubs, I'm sure we have learned a lot. And it will be such a pleasure to probably do a step down training for your club too, and get everybody prepared for the upcoming contest. So we are better equipped now for the contest. So please, Toastmasters and guests, when it's time for the contest, especially for Surulere, please let's all prepare and be a part of the contest. We have been trained to do this. And I'm sure, like TM Ugonna said, I'm sure that we are going to, Surulere will be there somewhere on the map. TM Kudus too from Seaside Toastmasters Club, our competent timer. Thank you so much for being here and helping us to make sure that this training is uploaded on YouTube. Thank you so much. Thank you also, TM Jagun, our IPP, always ready to help. Always ready to help. TM Ruben, thank you so much. Our test speaker, TM Choma, you gave your icebreaker and it was so wonderful. I mean, you shattered the ice. You didn't just break the ice, you shattered it. Wonderful speech there. Wonderful speech there. TM Afiz, TM Ihoma, all the way from Canada. Thank you for joining. Okay, TM Kiran. Someone said TM Kiran was coming from Kuwait too. Wow. TM Priscilla, you really came with your squad. Thank you so much for being here today. It was such a pleasure to have us all here at this training. I don't know if you want to say anything. Any speaker from Kuwait want to say anything? Anybody from Kuwait Challengers Club? Do you want to say anything? TM Dinesh, I can see you.
Thank you very much. It is my privilege to be here, and I am in the office. My shared office. Background news will be there, background noise. So not much have to say. I say thank you very much to DTM Priscilla who posted the link in our Kuwait Challengers group. By that only I came to know about that club. And many few faces I know who attended in Kuwait Challengers Club meeting as a guest. So for that, I say much thank to my immediate past president, Toastmasters Nameti Akpan, who gave a chance to get introduced or get the network connected with the beautiful Toastmasters in the beautiful country, West Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, TM Dinesh, for that wonderful speech. We are so glad to have you, and we hope to see more of you. I hope to see more of you for our meetings. We get to invite you through maybe the TM Priscilla for our meetings. It's such a pleasure. Okay, so thank you so much, TM Arit, also for joining. TM, is Biba a Toastmaster? Is that Abiba? Biba, are you a Toastmaster or a guest? Damilola A, are you a Toastmaster or a guest?
I'm a guest.
Biba? Who just now? Was that Biba?
Yes, that's Biba.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you become a member very soon. Toastmaster Damilola, is that a Toastmaster?
I'm a guest.
Oh, you're a guest. And I hope you join. Are you a part of any club? Are you a guest of any club?
No, I'm a guest of Surulere.
Oh, okay. Already a guest of Surulere. All right. Thank you so much for coming. And it's been such a pleasure to have us all here. And I think that's all from me. Thank you so much for making this training such a wonderful one. Our presence really made a difference. Thank you all so much. All right, over to you, our moderator, Toastmaster Omobola Dragon.
Thank you, Toastmaster Tessie, for those beautiful words of encouragement. For our facilitator for the first training, that's the Tall Tales training, had to leave the call as he made us aware he was in the hospital and was about to be discharged. So if we have any questions for him, we can send that, you can forward that to Toastmaster Ruben, Toastmaster Tessie, or myself. We will get it to him and we'll provide answers appropriately. So thank you everyone for coming. Toastmaster Enna, our past president, is also here. He has moved away, but is always with us. Toastmaster Enna, thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Enna.
This session is being streamed to YouTube, so you can always find the session recording on our YouTube channel. That's Surulere Toastmasters Club. So thank you, everyone. I believe we have come to the end of this meeting. Thank you for coming.